Kristi Noem was first. Is Pam Bondi going to be next? The MAGA Republicans, they want Pam Bondi gone. Democrats want Pam Bondi gone. Although at the end of last week, Donald Trump was saying, Pam, you're going to be good, right? For the next 3 years, Pam, you're going to be good. She's going to be good, isn't she? He said it in such like a demeaning way. He literally said, like, she's going to be a good one for the next 3 years. In other words, you know why you're here, Pam. Don't do what Kristi Noem did. Now, Kristi Noem's fatal error was not the intentional and malicious conduct that she actually engaged in with ICE and Border Patrol, Gestapo, killing people in this country. What she did was say that Donald Trump supported an ad campaign, which Donald Trump did not like the ad campaign because it didn't feature Donald Trump. It featured Kristi Noem riding around on a horse. That's why Kristi Noem got fired, for no other reason, with all of the other atrocities that she committed. And it was a Republican Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana, who asked that line of question. That was the real reason Noem was fired. Well, now we get to Pam Bondi, and MAGA Republicans want Bondi gone, not because Bondi is truly covering up a child sex trafficking, which Bondi is doing, but Bondi bungled the cover up so bad that she now made all of these MAGA Republicans look really bad. The cover up was not handled the right way. Bondi, remember, had those influencers hold up the binder, and then Bondi put out a memo with Kash Patel saying the investigation's done, nothing more to see here last year. And then the momentum grew, not just to release the files because we all knew the Trump regime was covering up a child sex trafficking ring, but also Bondi's sloppiness pointed actually directly at Donald Trump's conduct. Far from hiding it, when Bondi would produce things, you would see that there would be missing Bates numbers as the markings on the bottom right of those documents you see, Epstein Transparency Act 00, whatever it is. And you'd be like, why are those missing? And then investigative journalists, also the Midas Touch Network, we look at it, we go, oh, wait a minute, there's that witness. Oh, that witness mentioned Trump. So you're hiding these documents, you're hiding these records. And so on this end of the last week, we learned some very serious documents being withheld. So after the Trump regime was called out, finally, the FBI releases interviews with a woman who alleges Donald Trump sexually assaulted her when she was a minor. A DOJ source told the Miami Herald and Julie K. Brown that agents found her to be credible and that they would not have interviewed her 4 times if they thought that she was lying. So Pam Bondi, you're not doing the cover up the way you were supposed to do for Donald Trump. MAGA Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace, she was actually, I'm not a Nancy Mace fan, let me be very clear, but she was very instrumental in forcing Pam Bondi to be subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee, which took place at the end of last week. Nancy Mace said the following: breaking. We're moving to subpoena U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. AG Pam Bondi claims the DOJ has released all of the Epstein files. The record is clear. They have not. The Epstein case is one of the greatest cover-ups in American history. His global sex trafficking network is larger than what is being revealed. 3 million documents have been released, and we still don't have the full truth. Videos are missing. Audio is missing. Logs are missing. There are millions of documents out there. We want to know why the DOJ is more focused on shielding the powerful than delivering justice. The American people deserve answers. Victims deserve justice. Hold the line. She also then wrote, our motion to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi before the Oversight Committee passed. The American people want answers on the Epstein files, and so do we. It's worth noting, too, when you think about it, I think it's almost undisputed, as bad as Kristi Noem's testimony was on the Hill last week, 2 or 3 weeks ago when Bondi testified about the Dow going over 50,000 and her weird combativeness. It wasn't even like slick. It was like odd. And people are like, there's something like seriously wrong. Like, what the hell are you doing? When people were like, when Bondi was giving that testimony, like Bondi's testimony was worse than Noem's. But Trump loved Bondi's testimony because when she was asked about Donald Trump and his connections to the Epstein files, she would say, oh, you mean the Dow is 50,000? And Trump's like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. but that's making MAGA Republicans also look foolish to their own constituents. So they're like, Bondi, we're doing this again. But this time, just on Epstein, just in front of the Oversight Committee, where we're going to go through these issues one by one. Ted Lieu posted, Attorney General Bondi lied under oath in our hearing. She stated there's no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. DOJ just posted 3 FBI interviews related to sexual assault allegations against Trump. That's evidence. Representative Goldman and I have requested a special counsel to investigate. And then at the end of last week, the Justice Department posted online those 3 FBI interviews related to sexual assault allegations against Trump that had been missing from the massive trove of Epstein files released by the DOJ. Trump's consistently denied any wrongdoing with Epstein, said he was never on the plane, never barely even knew him. And here's the thing. When Donald Trump says, I barely knew the guy and I was never on the plane, and then says the allegations are false, we know he was on the plane. We know he was close to Epstein. So it just makes you say, well, if you're lying about those 2 things, we're supposed to trust you and say the allegations aren't true? What are you talking about? You seem to be covering up all of this right now. And you should all read the Miami Herald report on this because it goes into detail about these allegations with this individual who said that when she was a little child, Donald Trump, during these allegations, again, they're allegations of sexual assault. Let me teach you how little girls are supposed to be. She recalled Donald Trump saying, according to an FBI report, she said he unzipped his pants and forced her head to his penis. She said she immediately bit him and Trump struck her, the report said. She told FBI agents that she bit him because he disgusted her. In the 3rd interview, she told agents she wanted to clarify how Trump reacted to her biting him, explaining that Trump pulled her hair and punched her on the side of her head. And here's the thing. The DOJ covered this up. It wasn't until Bondi was subpoenaed and people identified this. Roger Sullenberger did a great job identifying it. PBS did a great job. And then they produce this and it's like, okay, if you're claiming that this was not true, why were you hiding it so much until Bondi gets subpoenaed? Why would you say that these things weren't in the files to begin with? Why wouldn't you say it? Let's bring in Harry Littman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Substack, and podcast. Subscribe to all. Harry, let's talk about this. Bondi, what do you think is going to happen? The question is, will she now try to claim some sort of privilege? Is she going to fight it? Is she going to show up? And is she going to do the Dow is, 47,000 now?
Right. You really put your finger on it because she is in a spot and she is in hot water all the way around. So, and man, oh man, does she have some splaining to do. So even leaving aside the question of her intent, the bungling by DOJ, if you want to call it that, that is the very least it is. Every single time some news agency goes and scratches the surface, they find more and more. These 3 FBI 302s, which everyone's understood from the start. This is the real coin of the realm, the things we really want to see. And then just somehow they were not produced. And it's only by happenstance that NPR and CNN finds it. And then it's, oops, we thought they were duplicates. The dates are different. Every single word on it is different. It would take a quarter second to figure this out. And this is multiplied by many, many times. Since then, we've had the Wall Street Journal do more of a deep dive and found there are 40,000 plus documents missing. And as you say, this is Pam Bondi who'd been saying, we're all done here. Everyone move along. And then they come out the next day and, oops, I guess there are 47,000 documents missing. We'll be right on it. They were supposed to produce everything. Remember December 19th? That was when they put out a sheaf of 100 documents that would make you think everything has to do with Bill Clinton. They obviously know how to be selective. And then at every turn, it just seems like these continual efforts just to try to shut it down. And who cares about the victims? But Epstein's not just his sex crime network, but his whole kind of relationship with the high and mighty everywhere. It's brought down people in Europe now, but still, Trump stays impervious to it. And Howard Lutnick, who's in the cabinet, hasn't been forced to leave. The point number one is, even if she wasn't responsible, you have this level of bungling at this level of national prominence of an issue, that would normally be enough to bring someone down. Point number two, she's so damn unlikable. So every time she appears, she does the opposite of endearing herself. She now has real opposition among Republicans in the Congress. And I think the people, she's like, got this nails on chalkboard quality that every time she steps forward as the face of this, and I'll now get to this third point, cover up. At least that's what Ted Lieu and others have very strong basis to allege. And her response to it is always both silly and nasty. It's a hell of a combination. 47,000 or 50,000 with the Dow, delivered in this stripping, sarcastic, antagonistic manner. Now, that's before you even get to her intent. And when it comes to that, she's got a lot of splaining to do. As you said, this is the same woman who a little more than a year ago, talked about all the files on her desk. We know that she is in the tank and her focus is how to protect Trump. We also know, by the way, just to amplify my first point, she is not, there's no love lost for her at the White House. And this has been the issue that comes around and around and around, and they can't get rid of, in large part because of the incompetence. Now everyone's looking very closely at these three documents that were just released. She has very few remaining defenders in Washington, and the knives are out for her. So just a final point. So what happens now? She may try, but she can't do this unless the White House backs her, to just say, no, I'm not coming. Why? Basically, try to make me. And that would be quite the standoff. Typically, that would be a contempt motion, which would fall to where? The Department of Justice. So, she would skate, but it might be such a political, cyclone. So we'll see. That's what I'm looking for. Notice she was subpoenaed more than a day ago, and we haven't had a peep yet. She is very soon going to have to indicate that she's fighting or she's showing up, and her future in the cabinet may turn on it.
Harry Littman runs the Talking Feds Substack, Talking Feds podcast, and Talking Feds YouTube channel. We'll be following that up. We know one way or another, when it comes to Pam Bondi, she will make a bad situation into a catastrophic situation. She'll turn a catastrophic situation into, a utterly, I don't even know, a nuclear meltdown. And I'll just say this. Yes, when Donald Trump has put his billboard of himself on the DOJ building and then reinforced it with a spotlight on it, and he treats it like his own personal law firms that would behave the way the DOJ is behaving now, and judges have viewed the DOJ as having zero credibility. Yeah, within this current executive branch, within this current structure of Congress being run by MAGA Mike, Donald Trump is impervious. The MAGA Mike is Trump's, sycophant. Boundy, is like a stooge of Donald Trump. It's embarrassing. But I'll tell you, from the American people right now who see this, this is why Donald Trump's approval is tanking. The least popular president essentially in American history at this point. Between the war in Iran, the cover up of the pedo sex trafficking ring. Look, when and they both intersect, because one of the reasons people think he's going to war is to distract, and I'm one of them, is to distract from the Epstein files, among other reasons. And then you have the Iranian leaders right now basically calling out Trump's Epstein connections right now, and to see someone like the Iranian Ayatollahs calling out Trump's Epstein connections, and you here as an American are like, I think they raise the point about the Epstein stuff. You know, you're like, am I agreeing with has this guy gone so deranged that you've made me agree with the Ayatollah calling you out on Epstein? Like, what do we do? I never thought I'd be here in a million years, Harry.
I have no possible comment to follow that one with, Ben. Over and out, man, oh man, a million years you wouldn't have thought it.
What are we doing here? Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. More importantly, subscribe to Harry Litman's YouTube channel, the Talking Feds YouTube, the Talking Feds Substack, and the Talking Feds podcast. Thanks, Harry.
Thanks.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MidasPlus.com.